highest standards of quality and integrity. Yes, you can conquer addiction. And at OVP Health, we can help. For more information, visit us at ovphealth.com.
Our college basketball game day continues. This is Michelob Ultra College Basketball Wrap-Up on ESPN 94.1 FM and AM 930 and 93.7 The Dog. Coming up, we'll break down today's game with post-game interviews, stats, highlights, scores, and more. Plus, we'll take your phone calls. Now, once again, here's Paul Swann.
Marshall advancing in the Conference USA tournament by defeating FIU 74-62. Welcome in to Michelob Ultra College Basketball Wrap-Up. We're going to talk about it with you. Our phone line this hour is 877-420-TALK. That is 877-420-8255. The text line is open, 304-523-2275. That's 304-523-2275. You can send your text in. I even got a video that was sent to me before we hit the air. Texter writes, FIU only brought one cowbell. They needed more. Go Herd. Having a great time in Frisco. That is from Texter Go Herd 24. So one cowbell wasn't enough for FIU. You needed more. Thundering Herd now will advance to take on Louisiana Tech. La Tech. That's coming up. We go on the air tomorrow at 6 o'clock. Looking forward to it. Let's break this one down. What did Marshall do in this one that got them the win? Well, first of all, points in the paint. Advantage Marshall, 30-22. I was happy with that. Points off turnovers, 14-8 in favor of Marshall. I was happy with that. Second chance points, dominating, 16-2. Favor of Marshall, that was, again, I was happy with that. Fast break points, Marshall won that stat, 18-11. The only difference here was Marshall got more from its starters than its bench. FIU got 26 points from the bench. It didn't matter. Marshall wins this one 74-62. Thundering Herd came out and was incredible in that first half. I mean, Marshall came out, lit it up, and then lit it up again. Had a huge run, a 10-0 run at one point. Marshall, at one point in this game, led by 18. Thundering Herd shot. Get this. In that first half, Marshall shot 15 of 35 for 43%. Cooled off a little bit. Cooled off a little bit from the three-point line as well. 2 of 13 from the three-point line. That's 15% there. Only 1 of 2 from the free throw line. 50%, sure, but it's half. Second half, 10 of 26. 38%. 3 of 8 from the three-point line. That's 38%. But are you ready for this number? Free throws, 18 of 23. For the contest, the Herd shot 19 of 25, 25 of 61 from the field, and 5 of 21 from the three-point line. In contrast, FIU shot in the game 23 of 61, 10 of 28 from the three-point line. That helped them tonight. That really kept them in the game. And free throw line, 6 of 6. That's a huge number. Marshall had only 8 fouls. FIU committed 19. Marshall also had a rebound advantage, 42-34. That's going to give you more possessions. That means you're going to have more opportunity. The Thundering Herd did all the things you wanted to see happen. A little bit more aggressive, got more fouls, got to the free throw line, made free throws, out-rebounded. You talk about night and day. I didn't recognize this team for a while, and I liked it. So the Thundering Herd getting the victory, now advancing. Dan will talk about how he felt like this team needed maybe this game, an extra game to get ready for the tournament and then to step up. Sort of, all right, you're revving up. Now you've got the engine running. Now you can take the next team. The next team's going to be a better team, but you're revving up now. That's sort of what it felt like listening to him. So we're going to hear that in a few minutes. We're also going to get your phone calls and texts in. Again, The text line is 304-523-2275, 304-523-2275. This texter writes in, "Hey, Paul, great defense. Bench played was awesome and seemed very poised. Go Herd, win, and move on. It was an upset." I don't think it was an upset. Honestly, I don't think it was an upset at all. I think Marshall could have won those last two contests with FIU. Marshall showed why it was the better team than FIU. Marshall could have beat FIU, not get swept. Maybe Marshall's in a slightly better position. No matter the case, Marshall showed why it felt that those two games against FIU, not indicative of Marshall basketball, and you send FIU home and you advance. So you can join the text line as well, 304-523-2275, 304-523-2275. We're going to hear from Dan D'Antoni, Tavion Kinsey. So we'll hear that in a few moments. Get more of your text in. Again, 304-523-2275. Marshall advancing, moving on to Conference USA Tournament, winning tonight over the 6th seed out of the East, 74-62. This is Michelob Ultra College Basketball Wrap-Up.
This is Michelob Ultra College Basketball Wrap-Up on 93.7 The Dog and ESPN 94.1 FM and AM 930.
Marshall advancing to the next round of the Conference USA Tournament by defeating FIU tonight, 74-62. Welcome back to Michelob Ultra College Basketball Wrap-Up. We're going to update you on the scoreboard later on the program. We're going to get your text in, 304-523-2275. That's 304-523-2275. But since you didn't get a chance to hear Dan D'Antoni on the network broadcast, he is obligated and required to do the post-game for Conference USA. We were in the post-game, the virtual part of it. It's a joint press conference with Dan D'Antoni and Tavion Kinsey, both at the table, and we're going to get their comments right now on the victory.
Nice win always in the tournament. It's play one, advance. My good friend Jimmy Valvano said, survive and advance. So did a nice job. I thought they beat us twice during the regular season. We played with a lot more energy than we did during the year, and thought we did a nice job on their guards, really, just trying to take them off that three-point line. They were under 40%, I think 35%. Not bad because they're a three-point shooting team, and I think the rest took care of itself. We hit got some extra chance points, and played all around pretty good game, and we're looking forward to the next one.
Dan, for you all have had those lapses throughout the year in which it's been 5 minutes, 6 minutes, in which turnovers and bad decisions have crept up. What was it about the focus today? You all never had any of those lapses, and each time that FIU made a run, it seemed like you all were able to contain it and get a big bucket or get to the foul.
I'd like to say it was my spectacular pregame speech, but basically it's probably tournament time. They realize if you don't go all the way through, we're not playing anymore. And these young men want to play. I mean, they've worked hard all season. They want to play. So they bear down. They get all the credit. They did a nice job, and we won the game.
Looking at it, the two losses that you all had to FIU this year, both of them games that came down to the wire, and 50-50 balls played a big part in each of them. How much did that sort of stick with you all as you got ready for this matchup against FIU this time?
Definitely a lot. That first one we gave up at their house, we were up. We made some key mental mistakes like I've been preaching all year, like Coach Dan's been preaching all year. And then that second game when we were at home, we played with no energy. And like you said, they won the 50-50 battle both games. So I think this game we were, like he said, mentally locked in. We played with more energy, and we kept that in mind that they beat us twice. But when you go into the tournament, everybody's record is 0-0. So.
Dan, you look at the rebounding numbers, 42 rebounds, kept them off the offensive glass a lot. And it seemed like those 50-50 balls I was talking about, it's kind of scrappy in March. It takes on a different physical level, and you all were able to match that tonight.
Well, we took their big man out of the game, too, the 7-1 kid. He rolled down on us on the pick and rolls, and we didn't play it well, and they'd either get a three or he had contribute a little bit during the game. We started going over-under on top. I think that helped our defense. They didn't get as many angles to the rim, the little fellas. And then we did a nice job. When they drove up in there, they kept their hands up. We're long and pretty tall for a team. He's 5'8", but they were chasing. They had their hand up and kept it up into the shooting area. So kudos to the players. And again, it's tournament time, so you have to make sure you don't give teams 4 or 5 trips where they get runs and you get shut out. So we did a pretty good job, and we just got to do better. The tournament gets tougher. We got to do better as you go forward.
I know that Brewer is a guy that whenever he's able to really get going, he can be a problem. But you mentioned the length. I think Michael Byers started out on him. You had 6'9", you had 6'6", you had 6'5". How did that length help you against Brewer tonight?
And they guarded him better. I mean, they kept their hand up and kept their spacing and didn't let him just blow by him by trying to do too much. The whole idea is you just stay there and focused and with your hand up, make him make a tough shot. Before, I think we were trying to do too much, and he'd end up juking them, getting in and shooting little floaters before anybody could get to him. And this time we were pretty hot on his tail. Tavion, we started out Tavion on. Of course, we switch a lot, and a lot of people guarded him. But Tavion started on him, and he does a real good job on smaller guards, making it tough when they penetrate and then finish in the lane.
We've got a question here from Cassidy Wood of 13 News, and then we'll go to Justin Zimmer of WMUL. So Cassidy, if you go ahead.
I can't see your smile there, Cassidy. There you go. Let's see that smile. I can see it. Hey, no, quit talking. I can say, there you go. Now you can ask. All right. I can see you, though. I don't know if I would use the word impressed. We were better. We've got to be better than that. We still have some decision-making we got to do better. I thought the second half we controlled the ball a little bit better than the first half. But, we were a much bigger team, especially when they took the 7-1 kid out. We're a much bigger team. And we have to learn to take advantage of that, especially on the glass and finishing in around the rim. But it was better, but I wouldn't use the word impressed.
Okay, we'll go ahead to Justin.
All right, I didn't quite catch all that. Give that to me again. Right. Well, it's funny. They beat us. I don't think we struggled. We just didn't play very well. And that was on us. Struggling to me means the other team made it tough. We made it tough on ourselves against them. And that's nothing against them. They're a good ball club, and they're well coached, and I love their coach. But we were still the culprit of what was going on. And so I wouldn't call it a struggle. I think it was more of just not a real focused effort on our part. When you come out into a tournament, starting good is always important. Confidence plays a big factor in tournaments, probably more so than regular season games. I was happy with the way we started until we gave it back. And we gave it back too many times. We should have pushed it on out 3 or 4 times. And we had some real bad, just right at halftime, say, for instance, we're up 9. We have we give up a 3-point shot on our switch. Our guy didn't come out with his hand up. That's 3 points. And then we come down, they run a little pick and roll. And then we had 2 players that weren't very physical, allowed to tap in. Now we're down 4. Up 4. And those are the things that will beat you if you don't take care of those little things. And we're going to impress upon them. One thing good, it's tough that you got to win 5, but at the same time, we were the team that might have needed 5 games because we're trying to hone everything down, and we needed to play maybe a first game against a team that maybe hadn't played as well this season. And by getting a victory in, we'll iron out a few things. It probably make us better going into the La Tech game, who's a better ball team.
We have another question from Tom Bragg at Herd 24/7. Tom, go ahead.
Well, Bena's game I like all the time, most of the time. He's a valuable member in our team. He gives you a little bit of everything. If you look at the stat line, he gives you a little bit of everything. I'm glad he gave me an O in the turnover spot, but he fills out the stat sheet a little bit of everything. Rebounding, he can shoot some threes. He'll get some offensive rebounds for you. He guards pretty well. He's gotten better. His weakness, he's always been a center and played big people, and we've moved him out now to where he has to guard perimeters. He's set down on a couple, and they got a couple of threes. But that's him learning how to play and guard face-up quick shooters. He's going to be a really good player. He loves to come into the arena and get better. He takes the game and his performances seriously, and he plays hard for Marshall. And can't beat that combination. Who's athletic, 7-1 reach, and a good young man, smart kid, engineering major, smart kid. So looking forward to having him back and seeing him progress throughout his career here.
Dan D'Antoni, Marshall victorious over FIU 74-62. Tavion Kinsey with 23 points. Obina Anachili Killen with 15. Michael Byers with 14. Andrew Taylor with 10. Thundering Herd with the win, advancing to tomorrow's second round game against the 3 seed out of the West, Louisiana Tech. When we continue, we're going to run down what is happening in Conference USA on this edition of Michelob Ultra College Basketball Wrap-Up.
We're putting the wraps on your college basketball game day. This is Michelob Ultra College Basketball Wrap-Up on 93.7 The Dog and ESPN 94.1 FM and AM 930.
Paul Swann, your host for this edition of Michelob Ultra College Basketball Wrap-Up. Let's run down today's action in Conference USA. We start with our game. Marshall defeating FIU 74-62. So the 7 seed defeating the 6 seed in the East 7-6 game. The West side, Southern Miss, the 7th seed in the West, defeats the 6th seed out of the West, UTSA, 67-64. So Southern Miss will advance tomorrow to face off against the 3rd seed out of the East, Florida Atlantic. That will be coming up late tomorrow, and that's going to be a 9:30 p.m. tip. The Marshall game tomorrow against Louisiana Tech is going to be a 7 p.m. tip. So late night for Southern Miss, but the 2 teams that are bolting for the Sun Belt getting the wins. Good luck for both teams. Wouldn't it be interesting if 3 of the teams that are leaving, that are all playing tomorrow, Marshall advancing to the quarterfinals, Old Dominion advancing to the quarterfinals, and Southern Miss advancing to the quarterfinals? I mean, it would be interesting if 1 or 2 of those teams could make it to the championship game. You would have an interesting final, to say the least, with teams that are leaving for the Sun Belt. But we do digress. Let us take a look at what is happening on the women's side. The Conference USA tournament beginning for the women as well. And in overtime, UTSA defeating UTEP 58-57. And it was FIU defeating FAU 68-60. On the women's side, tomorrow at noon, it's going to be Marshall taking on Rice. That game, a noon tip. It's going to be broadcast on ESPN+. Also on the women's side, UTSA will face off against Old Dominion at 12:30 p.m. UAB and Western Kentucky on the women's side at 2:30 p.m. And then FIU taking on Southern Miss. That is coming up tomorrow, 3 p.m. All these games are going to be on ESPN+. Tomorrow's action on the men's bracket, it begins at 6:30 p.m. with Rice taking on Charlotte. And then at 7 o'clock, it'll be Marshall taking on Louisiana Tech. We go on the air at 6 o'clock with Huntington Federal Savings Bank college basketball today. And then we hopefully will wrap it up with another Marshall victory on another edition of Michelob Ultra College Basketball Wrap-Up. Old Dominion will face off against UTEP tomorrow night at 9 p.m. And then Southern Miss will face off at FAU, taking on FAU. That is set for 9:30 p.m. We'll wrap it up with your text when we continue. 304-523-2275, 304-523-2275. Marshall victorious over FIU, 74-62. This is Michelob Ultra College Basketball Wrap-Up.
Back to more of Michelob Ultra College Basketball Wrap-Up on 93.7 The Dog and ESPN 94.1 FM and AM 930.
Our schedule tomorrow, we go on the air at 5 o'clock. It's The Drive with me, your host, Paul Swann. We do that 5 to 6 on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930. Looking forward to having you there. We're going to be talking about hopefully a Marshall victory tomorrow as the Thundering Herd at high noon take on Rice in the second round of the Conference USA tournament. We should have post-game reaction from the head coach, Tony Kemper. That'll be coming up tomorrow, 5 o'clock, as we lead you in to our pregame coverage of Marshall taking on Louisiana Tech. We go on the air. Pregame coverage begins at 6 o'clock. It is a 7 o'clock tip. We'll have the complete broadcast right here on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930 and 93.7 The Dog. We're going to call it a night since we're going to be back here tomorrow doing it all over again. For our producer, Gabriel Sellards, and we appreciate an assist from his father, Kenny Sellards. Team Sellards, we appreciate them as well. They do a good job. I'm Paul Swann. This is Michelob Ultra College Basketball Wrap-Up. Have a great night, everyone.
This has been Michelob Ultra College Basketball Wrap-Up on 93.7 The Dog and ESPN 94.1 FM and AM 930. This has been a production of Kindred Communications Incorporated. All rights reserved. We are proud to be your 100,000-watt home for your Marshall University Thundering Herd. WDGG-FM, Ashland, Huntington, 93.7 The Dog, and WRVC AM and W231BS Huntington, ESPN 94.1 FM and AM 930.